It's really hard to top the Pokemon of Generation 1. They were creative, endearing, intriguing, and ultimately groundbreaking when it came to a collection of characters that sucked in a whole demographic of eager gamers and anime fans alike. Now, over the years, Game Freak and Nintendo have strived to produce new pocket monsters just as swell as the ones that debuted back in 1996. And while Generation 2 definitely had some hits, some of the Pokemon that made the cuts in later years are, well, questionable at best.
Oh. Dear God, no!
So today we're taking a closer look at that ragtag group of unfavorable creatures with our list of the top 10 dumbest Pokemon ever created. But before we begin, we just want to give a big shout out to our sponsor for this video, Wix. Wix is an awesome website builder that gives you total creative freedom when building your website, limited only by your imagination. You can create a site for whatever your heart desires, and it's got a ton of professional tools to help you make it happen, and take care of all the heavy lifting so you don't have to. Wix offers a ton of apps that you can use to help better utilize your site to promote whatever it is that you're featuring, whether it's a business or your own personal portfolio. There's stuff like an Instagram feed app that showcases whatever linked Instagram account you'd like to show off, the Wix art store that lets you sell digital art and prints right from your site, and even Wix restaurant menus that lets you easily build stunning menus to show off what kind of delicious grub your business has to offer. I even made my own site with Wix to highlight all of my work as a director, which you guys should definitely check out. So for your own website, be sure to check out the link in our video description below for more details on how you can make your own awesome website. Alright, now on to the dumb Pokemon. Starting us off in at number 10, Bidoof. God bless Bidoof. Now there's a lot of reasons to dislike Bidoof. It's not overly strong, its evolution isn't all that great, its range of attacks are meh at best, and it pops up way too frequently. Now that could be said of a lot of other common normal type Pokemon as well, but something really stuck with Bidoof when it came to the Pokemon community insulting it. Maybe it's because it looks like a slow inbred beaver hamster hybrid. Maybe it's because trainers felt insulted that Bibarel, is that how you pronounce it, wasn't anything special, and therefore training Bidoof was a waste of time. Maybe it's because everywhere you turn you can never escape the ceaseless onslaught of Bidoof. Or maybe it's because there's no way in hell that anyone could argue that a Bidoof would survive very long in the wild, thanks to natural selection. But whatever it was, Bidoof has become beloved in one sense, as a hilarious meme. And hey, that's at least somewhat of an accomplishment, isn't it, Bidoof? Regardless, people love to hate on Bidoof, and if you're one of those people that don't mind it, well, bless your soul, young trainer. Bless your soul. Moving on to number 9, Purugly. Purugly's name literally has the word ugly in it. It's a disdainful, hefty looking cat. It's a weird evolution too. Its first form, Glammeow, is arguably a glamorous cat Pokemon with a whimsical tail. It's like Glammeow started off with high expectations for how its life was going to turn out, but then it lost sight of those aspirations, let itself go, and packed on some thickness and some stress, which I'm going to assume is clear to everyone based on the condition of its whiskers compared to its predecessor. A Generation 4 Pokemon, Purugly is kind of an asshole. Its Pokedex entry in Heart Gold and Soul Silver reads, it would claim another Pokemon's nest as its own if it finds a nest sufficiently comfortable. But fear not, Pokefans. Purugly also does not give two craps about what you think of it. It's proud of its beefiness. In Pokemon Pearl, its Pokedex entry reads, to make itself appear intimidatingly beefy, it tightly cinches its waist with its twin tails. I just want to know the progression of its story, really. How does one go from glam to ugly, especially if one is a cat? It's like an inverted Cinderella story, people. Moving on. And at number 8, Jinx. Jinx is the only Generation 1 Pokemon you're going to see on this list, and this is simply because of the controversial impact the character has made. Or rather, creature. Pocket monster. Now, to be fair, when we say controversial, we say that lightly. She debuted in 1996 in the initial Japanese red and green versions of the game, and was considered as a human shape Pokemon. But rather than just have a rack that made young children across the globe giggle in their pre-pubescent glory, this Pokemon got a lot of heat for the color of her skin. In the original Japanese game, her skin is black, and based on her other characteristics, it's not a far stretch to say that she looked a whole lot like a caricature of blackface, which is highly offensive makeup used by white performers to make them appear as if they were black, and is often paired with horrible blown out of proportion stereotypical features. Now, while Jinx was said to have her inspiration based on the Japanese mythic icy ghost known as Yama-Uba, her similarities to blackface are undeniable. The North American release of Red and Blue caught on and made her skin purple instead, but that didn't stop many from still thinking that she was politically incorrect, with some noting that even her name, which is a variation on the word Jinx, spelled with a Y, has connotations to bad luck and negative implications. Plus, the name also suggests a link to doctors and voodoo practices, which originated in African religions and have a long history of being mocked by Western cultures. And to top it all off, her whole shtick was that she's a Pokemon who, according to the Pokedex in Pokemon Red, seductively wiggles its hips as it walks, which some read as furthering the racial stereotype of black women being simple-minded and sensual sexual objects. All in all, Jinx is one of those Pokemon who probably would have been better left on the cutting room floor. Moving on to something much less serious, and at number 7, Fungus. How can you be serious with a name like Fungus? Fungus is what happens when Mario fans demand crossover fanfiction with Pokemon. Or at least that's what I'd like to believe. Fungus is a Generation 5 Pokemon, aka you already know there's an 80% chance of it being a half-baked idea of a Pokemon. Fungus is a mushroom with a Pokeball design on its head. For starters, I'd like to know the evolution process in terms of how this Pokemon came to be in the wild. Bring us back to natural selection once again. Now once you take a look further into Fungus, it becomes clear that like one of our previous numbers, it is also, in fact, an asshole. The reason why it has a Pokeball on the top of its head is to trick people. According to its Pokedex entries, it lures Pokemon with its pattern that looks just like a Pokeball, and then releases poisonous spores. But what confuses me is why Pokemon would be attracted to Pokeballs. Because if anything, wild Pokemon would avoid those, especially if it's not owned by a trainer, because then they get stuck in one for God knows how long, until someone stumbled upon them and then released them. It's like prison. It's a flawed idea. The only people who pick up Pokeballs in the wild are trainers. So with that logic, Fungus has either a really terrible means of survival, or it's trying to lure trainers and poison them. Either way, that makes for a dumb Pokemon. Up next at 6, Luvdisc. First off, 0 points for creativity when it comes to this one's name. It's as if someone drew up a rough sketch of this thing, tossed it in front of one of the Game Freak execs and was like, "Yo, what do you see here?" And they were like, "It's a heart disc." And then they were like, "Nah, heart disc is too on the nose for a name. Let's go with love instead, but spell love in an alternative way so it makes more sense, hahaha." Insert maniacal laughing here. Luvdisc does take after a fish though, so luckily it does have that going for it. It's a Generation 3 Pokemon who, in every game it's appeared in, has a Pokedex entry that is some sort of take on how it's a symbol of love. Aside from that, it doesn't really have much going for it at all. And at number 5, Vanillite. I'm sure after Gen 1 and 2 came out, there were a ton of people out there who were like, "Gee, you know what would be swell? If there was a Pokemon shaped just like my favorite icy dessert. Yes, that would be a fantastic idea. Game Freak, please do that." Yeah, absolutely no one ever thought of that, but guess what still happened anyway? It's an ice cream cone Pokemon. Its evolutions are no better either. Vanillish and Vanillux. Vanillux? They're highly overrated ice cream cones that look like they were birthed from a hipster ice cream shop that's trying to resurrect the ice cream food trend and do crazy with its cones in hopes that people will come buy their product and then post ridiculous things on Instagram with them, with all the hashtags. Vanillite just feels as if the designers behind Pokemon were running out of ideas and started brainstorming everyday objects that could be turned into a pocket monster. And at 4, Ownage. If you ever thought that Magnemite evolving into 3 Magnemites was dumb, well, meet Ownage. Ownage is a sword. Ownage? Ownage. It's a Pokemon that is literally just a sword, and it evolves into 2 swords, called Double Blade. Like double blade. Double blade? Maybe it's just double blade. Who knows? It's a sword Pokemon, it's bad. A Generation 6 Pokemon, surprise surprise there. This is one of the weirdest cop-outs in the Pokemon franchise. So, essentially, it is a sword that resembles a sword from the medieval era. When it's unsheathed, it straight up just looks like a plain sword. Like a sword you would equip in any other game. That ain't even a Pokemon, guys, come on. And to make it worse, it is also an asshole, because it sucks the life energy out of anyone who dares to grab it by the hilt. Which is super crappy because it looks like a regular sword, not even like a sentient Pokemon. That's just cruel. At least its creators offered up some sort of explanation as to how it came to be. Its Pokedex entry for Pokemon X reads, apparently, this Pokemon is born when a departed spirit inhabits a sword. So, it's a haunted sword. Gotcha. Up next, number 3, Clefairy. It's a keyring. It's a gosh darn keyring, guys. Clefairy is one of the worst when it comes to Pokemon that are clearly just inanimate objects. Upon first glance, you probably wouldn't even know that it's a Pokemon. I mean, at least Vanillite tries to be a Pokemon. You know how many trainers must have mistaken these for their keyring and then was like, "Ugh, man, screw off, Clefairy, I just need to find my keys, dude." Hypothetically speaking, that would be incredibly frustrating if you think about it. Clefairy is a Generation 6 Pokemon, aka the bottom of the barrel of ideas, and it's a Steel and Fairy type. Steel because duh, it's a keyring. Fairy because they had to give it something to work with, I guess. Here's some of my personal favorite Pokédex entries about this one. These key collectors threaten any attackers by fiercely jingling their keys at them. Ooh, I'm shaking in my boots. This even-tempered Pokemon has a habit of collecting keys. It will sneak into people's homes to steal their keys. And, perhaps the best one from Pokemon Moon, it inserts its horn into chinks in metal, absorbing metal ions. For some reason, it collects keys. For some reason, it collects keys. They don't even know why it collects keys. So terrible, moving on. Up next, number 2, Binnacle. Binnacle is a Generation 6 Pokemon. Of course. And it makes no sense whatsoever. It's 2 clawed hands coming out of a rock. Yep. Binnacle seems like it's more so the product of an unfortunate drug trip rather than a Pokemon that's an asset to the franchise. What is it even? It makes Diglett look like it's a genius creation. It's one of those Pokemon that you look at and you're like, really? This is an actual Pokemon? So what's Binnacle's deal, friends? It's a rock-water type, so immediately it's a paradoxal monstrosity. Even its Pokédex entries are comical. According to Pokemon X, 2 Binnacle live together on one rock. Thank you, Captain Obvious. When they fight, one of them will move to a different rock. I mean, can you blame it? The only silver lining to this Pokemon is that at least it evolves into Barbacle at level 39, which has a significantly better design. It makes me ponder whether the creators of this Pokemon thought up its evolution first and then tried to boil it down into a previous form after the fact, which would actually make a lot of sense, all things considered, when you take a look at this monstrosity. And finally, in at number 1, Trubbish. Trubbish is the epitome of no given. It's a Generation 5 Pokemon and it's slumming it in the creativity department. Just look at it. Trubbish is a bag of garbage. And that's not even an insult, it's literally a bag of garbage. Naturally, it's a poison type. In the anime, Ash's Pokédex declares that Trubbish is a trash bag Pokemon, and that they prefer to live in dirty places like garbage dumps. Yeah, gonna go hunt down some Pokemon in the local garbage dump. Ugh. It is said that they were born when a chemical reaction occurred between an abandoned trash bag and industrial waste, which begs to ask what kind of environmental disasters are going down in the Pokemon world for this to come into fruition. They also follow people who litter, because they always want more garbage in their life. And they belch gas that's supposed to make you sleep for a week. God knows what owning one does to a trainer's immune system. According to Ultra Moon, if a young Pokemon or child breathes in the toxic gas that Trubbish belches out, it could be a life-threatening situation. And I think that just speaks volumes. Alright, there we have it, friends. What Pokemon out of all the generations is your least favorite? What other dumb Pokemon do you think should have made this list? Give us a shout in those comments below and let us know your thoughts. If you dug this video, spread that love, hit that like button, share it with a friend. And if you're new, why not subscribe to our channel? We have a ton of other lists that you'll likely dig, like the ones in the playlist currently flashing on your screen. Also, before we go, once again, major shout out to Wix for sponsoring this video. You can check out all the details about them in our video description below. But in the meantime though, thanks for watching, friends. I'll catch you all in the next one.